Greetings everyone, this is Redberryweo here, and welcome back to another quick Civil Air Patrol video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the difference between professional levels and like the module that has information in there from Absorb, which is the learning management system that Civil Air Patrol is now using as of the end of 2024. And I just know there has been a little bit of confusion just in general, so I wanted to be very clear about what you need to look at in order to see how far you've progressed with your current level in the adult leader program and steps that you can take in order to complete your requirements. So what are professional levels? Professional levels are like the 5 levels that adult leaders in Civil Air Patrol can do, numbered 1 through 5. And the first one, like, you have to get that done as soon as you join, and then you have to have a summary conversation with an adult leader within your unit to get signed off for that. The modules are all available online, and they are basically self-paced. You can do them at your own time, and you don't need someone else to sign off on completing those modules. That's different in levels 2 through 5. So I just wanted to say, for level 1, do your best to knock out all the modules. It provides a lot of great information in that it has PowerPoints and it just outlines basic information that is really useful and important to know and be familiar with as an adult leader, especially if you have no previous military background, cadet background, or like professional association with Civil Air Patrol or in the military. It's just a really good overall summary of here is what Civil Air Patrol is in level 1. So let's say you want to check to see how far you have progressed within your professional level and just see what you've been completing and what you still have remaining. Absorb is not the place that you should be checking. Absorb is the place where you can take modules that you have not completed yet, but it doesn't have the actual record of here's what you have completed, here's what you still need to do. So in e-services, I'm going to direct you to the hamburger menu, and you're going to go to the hamburger menu. You're going to look for the education and training option and click on that. Look for professional levels. Under professional levels, there's going to be an accomplishments page. Under accomplishments, there will be professional levels. Click on professional levels, and your CAP ID should automatically populate like the top left-hand box, and then you want to select whatever level you're working on. So in the referencing the example I was just using, like if you were doing level 1, you would select level 1, which would be an option in the drop-down menu, and look to see what modules you have completed and what is still remaining. The way that professional levels is laid out is that everything is listed in groups. So you don't have to do every single one in the group. The big thing is, have you completed the number of tasks that you are required to in the total number of required tasks? On the left-hand side of your screen, if you see a little green check mark next to that group, that means you have completed the total number of required tasks. In my example earlier, there are 9 required modules associated with level 1, group 1. You have to do all 9 of them. And so if you've completed 9 out of 9 of them, it'll show on the left-hand side that green check mark, and on the right-hand side, it'll say 9 out of 9, and that says completed / like required training. Looking at level 2, part 1. There are a couple of groups that only require 1 out of the 2 modules be completed. So the Customs and Courtesies module is an example of this. The Civil Air Patrol Customs and Courtesies is for anyone who is former military or current military, where they already understand the basics of customs and courtesies. It's just putting it into a Civil Air Patrol context. The Customs and Courtesies course is different in that professional path and new path are required to do it, and anyone who is former cadet path would not actually have to do the Customs and Courtesies module. They automatically receive credit for it. So the 3 paths that need to do it, they would need to go in and take their corresponding module type. Let's say, though, someone who is former or current military takes the Customs and Courtesies course. Like they attend an education and training weekend, and they just attend the Customs and Courtesies version. That still counts as completing the group. There's no problem with doing a different one. It's just, have you completed the required number of modules in that grouping. So since there's only one required, former military, current military, they are not required to do both the Civil Air Patrol Customs and Courtesies and Customs and Courtesies. They just need to do one. And if you're just doing the Customs and Courtesies module, you only need to do that. It doesn't make sense for you to be doing both. So for those modules that are a little bit weird in that you only have to do one out of the two possible options, it'll say like 0 out of 1, like 0 completed out of 1 required for training. And so you only have to do one of them. So how do you do these modules? I mentioned Absorb earlier, and I'm also going to mention virtual in residence and in-person training opportunities. Absorb is great for any modules that are not moderated. And when I say not moderated, I mean an instructor has to physically sign off on the requirement saying that you did whatever you needed to. Like if you had to submit discussion board posts, or if you had to submit like a written summary document, or like a response to something, like a response to a prompt and write like a paper, like a mini paper. Like those are all considered moderated modules. Any that are non-moderated, you can knock those out at your own pace and it'll automatically populate within professional levels. Again, professional levels is your official record with Civil Air Patrol saying, these are the things that you completed. So Absorb is a way that you can get credit within professional levels. And if you've already completed stuff, like let's say before we moved over to Absorb, you already had completed a couple of modules for level 2, and you don't see them as completed in Absorb, that's okay. As long as it's showing in your professional levels completion record, that's all that matters. Just wanted to make sure that's emphasized. Just use professional levels. For the moderated modules, sometimes it's a little inconsistent with the timing of grading because, I mean, they're volunteer evaluators, they're volunteer instructors. So sometimes it's a little bit challenging to get a response and make sure that you're getting credit for them. And if you're trying to be timely with completing your levels, it might be a little bit easier to participate in a virtual in-residence training or an in-person training. And I will link in the description a calendar that was being used for virtual in-residence courses. I think it lists most of them. I don't know if it necessarily lists all of them, but I will include a link in the description for that. And Wings are hosting them all the time. If you look at Registration Zone, like you might be able to find one right now that's being hosted either in person or virtually. They also try to announce them far enough in advance that you can plan through email. So there's those options, and then there's also in-person training still as well. The big thing is that you don't have to knock out all the modules at once. And if you've got an instructor in your unit who can teach a couple of different levels, then I strongly encourage units to just teach a module at a time, to try to knock out like level 2 part 1, to knock out level 2 part 2, to help members start working on their level 3. It's a little bit difficult to get it all done at once, and it really shouldn't all be done at once. It's a learning process as we all grow together here in Civil Air Patrol. And so getting those good in-person instruction opportunities and just getting that knowledge over time is a little bit more absorbable than drinking from a fire hose and having like a weekend or 4 days of just nonstop education and training. Because then if you learn it over time, then you can apply that knowledge as you gradually learn it versus just being given all that information at once and then maybe forgetting stuff. It happens. So that's just a suggestion if you've got the instructors in your unit. And I know as a group level education and training officer, I've personally offered 2 different methods of virtual and residence training. I've done it where I'll do like 2 different modules once a week and do that for several weeks in a row, at least for like level 3, because there are quite a few moderated modules, or doing it mostly all in the same weekend. I have found that it really depends on the members' availability and what their preference is. Some people just want to get it all done at the same time, completely get it. And some of them want that like trickle of information where they have that nice battle rhythm of every Wednesday at 7 p.m. we're doing our modules for level 3, and then they're able to prepare with the homework ahead of time so that they can come feeling ready to go for whatever discussions that we have as a group. So I've done both as an education and training instructor. You know, whatever works best for you, I just recommend finding the method for you to knock out your professional levels at the pace that you would like to get them done. The last big thing that I wanted to discuss is that there is a place that you can check to see where things are moderated versus automatically completed once you finish the module in Absorb. And that is under the Volu website. So I will include a link in the description for that as well. There's levels 1 through 5 on the left-hand side of the screen, and then you'll select your level. So there is a place on each page that says like a link to level blank module summary, and then at this point, as of recording this, it was revised October 2024, and then there's actually like a fillable and a non-fillable version. If you want to use this as a resource, you can use this by using the fillable version, and you just download it, and then you can check stuff off as you complete the modules, or you can use the non-fillable version, whichever you prefer. But if you open that link and you look in like one of the central columns of like the tables, it has an M and an A. M means it's moderated. So any modules with the M, you will need to have an instructor sign you off in order for you to receive credit in your professional levels record. If it's an A, as soon as you finish that in Absorb, it's going to automatically populate it within professional levels. You are welcome to complete the modules however you'd like to. You just need to make sure that you are receiving credit for them. And I would say with the moderated modules, the timing may not align with what you're looking for. So if there are options for you to do virtual in residence or in person, then that is worth considering, or talking to your unit and seeing if an education and training instructor can help facilitate completing your course. Just remember, look at your professional levels record to see what you have completed and what you still need to get done. Whatever is in Absorb, if you've completed it and it hasn't populated it yet, try doing member search and like search yourself, and it might update professional levels with new information. It does sometimes take a little bit of time for Absorb to push the information to professional levels in e-services. But if you have the opportunity to do moderated modules in person, virtual, and residence, a lot of people have found those to be useful because you can have more of a dialogue and you can ask the instructor more questions and be a little bit more engaged than doing a discussion board. It's really whatever you prefer. So at the end of the day, please choose whatever you would like to do for completing your professional levels, but I hope this was a useful resource video just on Absorb and professional levels and trying to clear things up a little bit for those who may not be as familiar with the system. So if you got any questions, I'm here. Let me know in the comments down below. But thank you so much for watching, and that is all, folks. Until next time, toodles.